Recasting is a language support strategy that teachers can use to confirm a learner's verbal response or observation, while providing the appropriate subject vocabulary and grammar. Recasting provides a model of the way language works in a particular subject. It helps learners to hear new keywords used in context and to hear the language of the subject, for example, how to use instruction verbs in a science experiment. Recasting happens in the context of a live conversation, which gives the learner a chance to hear and use the new vocabulary and language structure immediately. For recasting to have the most positive effect, it should affirm what a learner has said, it should allow the learner to complete their contribution without interruption, and it should follow the flow of an authentic conversation. Teachers can use recasting in a range of classroom settings, with learners at different levels of proficiency in English, as the following examples show. Observations in a science experiment. Learner: it bubbles, the water, it fog. Teacher: yes, that's right. There are bubbles. The lime water turned cloudy. In this example, with a learner whose proficiency level is at band B, the early acquisition stage, the teacher confirms that the learner's observations are correct. Then, the teacher shifts their response to provide key vocabulary in science: lime water and cloudy. The teacher also provides the correct sentence structure for a scientific observation: the lime water turned cloudy. Responses to literature. Learner: the place is dark and it feels scary to read about it. Teacher: yes, that is important in the novel. The setting is dark and dingy, and the atmosphere is frightening. In this example, where the learner is at band C level, developing competence, the teacher adds important vocabulary for literature study: setting and atmosphere. Here, the teacher adds descriptive vocabulary in the recast: dingy and frightening, which is the type of language that learners need in their written responses. In this recast, where the learner's utterance is grammatically correct, the teacher is setting appropriately high expectations for this learner by providing the subject vocabulary. Recounting in history. Learner: the women used action and they went to jail. Teacher: yes, good. The women used the tactic of direct action, and they were imprisoned. In this example, a learner at band D, competent, is giving a recount of the events of the suffragette movement. In the recast, the teacher has extended the vocabulary use, introducing tactic, direct, and imprisoned. The teacher has also recast the account to include the use of the passive voice, were imprisoned, a grammar structure that learners need to use in history. The recast introduces appropriate scaffolding while setting high expectations for a learner at this level of proficiency. For learners at the early stages of English language acquisition, recasting works best when teachers limit the content of the recast to 1 or 2 changes, for example, by adding just 1 new word or 1 recasting of a grammatical structure. When you make a lot of changes to what a learner has said, it becomes confusing and difficult for them to hear and understand all the changes. Too many corrections could also feel demoralizing. As learners develop their proficiency in English, you can add additional new words and grammar structures, as you set higher expectations. For learners at the developing competence level and beyond, you can start following up the recast with an explicit focus on the new language structure or vocabulary you have introduced. Learners at this level will be acquiring the necessary knowledge about English to recognize why the structure in the recast is more appropriate. A key feature of recasting is the need for teachers to build in affirmation in their response, to strengthen a learner's confidence and to recognize knowledge they already have. Always stick to the meaning of the learner's original utterance. Recasting is a natural, widely researched and effective strategy that families use as their children acquire their first language in their early years. This strategy can be equally helpful in scaffolding language for those multilingual children who use EAL, whatever school year they are in. Recasting is also a helpful strategy for busy teachers, as it requires no preparation and over time will become a natural practice. Research has shown that recasting can be an effective strategy, especially where teachers build in the grammar structures and new vocabulary that form part of the individual learner's language support plan. This means that while the recast is implicit and doesn't point out the error, the correct grammar and new vocabulary can then be highlighted in other practice work the learner does. Top tip: use recasting alongside other strategies, like using visuals, providing translated lists of new vocabulary, and giving learners additional practice in using new grammatical forms correctly with scaffolding. This is particularly important for learners who are new to English or at the early acquisition stage because they do not have enough knowledge about English to recognize their error in the recast. Read our article on our website for more examples of activities. If you are watching this video on our website, read the article below. If you have accessed this video directly on YouTube, please look in the video description for the link to our Recasting Great Idea webpage.